The fall madness is here. Is it worth visiting when things are this bad? And yes, the Smoky Mountains are still open for business. Well, mostly. Welcome to Bear Facts, where we explore the Smoky Mountains one bear fact at a time. Every year as leaves start to change, so do the crowds. During the fall season, the Smoky Mountain area of Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg become bustling hubs for leaf peepers and tourists, eager to experience the vibrant autumn foliage. As trees begin to turn shades of red, orange, and yellow, the region sees a significant influx of visitors, particularly from mid-October through early November, when the leaves are at their peak. If you watch my channel, you might notice that I don't target breaking news, weekends, or specific dates. I also do not sensationalize tragedies either. I'm only bringing up the flooding that happened earlier this fall for informational reasons. One reason is that many people in the forums were worried that places are closed down or afraid to visit. Note that Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge were not directly impacted by the floods. But if you need to take I-40, some of it is still closed after exit 440 past Wilton Springs. This will not impact visitors going from I-40 through Sevierville. Also, the Foothills Parkway in Cosby is closed. When either will reopen, they're not saying. If you plan on heading to Cosby, most of the national park is still accessible, and places like Carver's Apple Orchard are open and hoping for business. Though it was a tragedy for many residents in the area, people are recovering, and the local businesses still need your support to help with that recovery. Most visitors to the Smokies won't be impacted, and you should feel confident visiting this fall. But I felt a little warning was warranted for anyone planning to visit soon. And it seemed that like most people have already gotten this message, as this last weekend we saw a huge surge of tourism as people began their wild ascent into the mountains. Not only was it an amazing weekend with temperatures into the mid to upper 70s with clear blue skies, but it was also a long weekend. People were eager to enjoy the breathtaking views of the mountains, changing out of their summer greens and blues to their fall yellows, oranges, and reds. This weekend, the mountains only just began to change out of their wardrobe for winter clothing, but there were still hundreds of thousands to witness it. Though it's the mountains that draw people into the area, the local businesses keep the spirits high. On top of that, it was a 3-day weekend in the Smokies, and though any long weekend in the Smoky Mountains is going to bring in crowds, Columbus, or as we are now learning, is Indigenous People Weekend, is one of the worst for crowd surging. I would say that the sheer volume of people rivaled Black Friday and weekend days leading up to Christmas. The lines and lines of cars were staggering. Like many thousands of other people, we decided to try and see how much of the leaf coverage had changed and visited Gatlinburg. And though we had an inkling things were going to be bad, we just didn't really anticipate how bad it would be. Sure, we could see that many of the hotels were booked out, and our past experiences told us to prepare ourselves, but we still went, and boy, it was something. The first thing we tried was to drive up into the mountains. It's hard to tell when the best time would be to visit in the fall. Some years you have colder temperatures, which affect the changes. Other years you see more rain, which also impacts the change and the vibrancy of the colors. This year, the leaves really hadn't changed much by Columbus Day weekend, Indigenous People Day, especially in the lower elevations, but the upper elevations were starting, so it was a surprise to see how many people were there. And I'll be honest, I didn't feel like we were seeing the best of them. And though we have seen what leaf peeping season will bring for the crowds, we were still a little surprised by how many people were there, especially since it was a bit too early to see things. But apparently, it didn't matter. People were out there, and that was that. If you do plan on visiting in the fall, make sure you try and get to the higher elevations in the earliest part of the changes. Once you see any sign of color in the lower parts, you probably have missed the peak color changes above. But this is a good thing too, since you can still enjoy the lower attractions. Elkmont, Roaring Forks, and Cades Cove will be much better later in the season. But Clingman's Dome and Newfound Gap are going to be better in the early part of the season. Any hiking trails like Elm Cave or Chimney Tops are going to be teeming with eager hikers hoping to see the changes. Parking will be awful in these places. There will be a lot of people parking illegally, and I'm sure more than a few tickets were issued. And because these are very popular attractions, no matter what time of the year it is, they're also going to see major surges of visitors in the early fall. Clingman's Dome and Newfound Gap in particular be very hard to get to. The higher elevations will see the earliest changes, and because these two are the highest you can go, these places are mobbed. When we went over the Columbus Day weekend, the line of cars to get to the parking area for both attractions were bad, but Clingman's was even worse. The backed up traffic started over 3/4 of a mile from the actual parking lot, and most people were not actually getting parking spots. Instead, they ended up doing a slow loop around the parking area and had to turn around and leave because they couldn't get a spot to park above. Many were extremely frustrated. If you've never been to Clingman's Dome, this can be very disappointing. What makes it even more frustrating is that Clingman's Dome isn't easy to turn around on. Unless you drive up to the top, you won't know what kind of line is up there, and you'll be stuck in that line. Oh, you could try and turn around, but between the mountain cliff on one side and the sheer 1,000-foot drop on the other, many people just aren't that brave. So that leaves you with two options: roll the dice and hope for the best, or just park a mile down the road and walk up. Neither option is great. So if it's a clear weekend day and the leaves are in full change, bet your house that there is a line up there. And if this is something you really want to see, I would park below and just walk. Also, the bathroom situations in Clingman's is not good. Though they do have a few outhouses, the lines to the bathrooms were bad. Try to go to Newfound Gap if possible. They have cleaner facilities and flushing toilets, though they don't have sinks. We never made it to Roaring Forks, not from lack of effort, but apparently due to the issue with Route 40 being shut down from the flooding. It seemed that semi-trucks are trying to use the mountain roads to get across. There was one blocking the road through Roaring Forks, and we couldn't get in. And we didn't even try to get to Cades Cove. We could tell that the leaves wouldn't be really changing for another week and didn't want to deal with the long lines that were most likely happening there. I have been to Cades Cove during peak leaf peeping season, and that 11 miles can take over 3 hours due to traffic. It wasn't worth it for what little foliage we could see. I'm not saying it's not worth seeing, we just didn't have the time and wouldn't enjoy it as much early in the season. And things weren't much better in Gatlinburg. Those of you who have been to the Smokies know that Gatlinburg is the bottleneck to the Smoky Mountain National Park. If you want to get to the park, there are very few access points from Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. There is the bypass through the spur from Pigeon Forge and another bypass off of 321 before you get to the main part of Gatlinburg. But if you're staying in Gatlinburg, there is only one way, and that's always very congested. Let's just say that traffic was bad and leave it at that. It doesn't help that the city is doing everything they can to draw in guests. Bright, colorful decorations, amazing shop displays, and the aroma of fall foods, and the allure of moonshine draws people in by the thousands. The city of Gatlinburg looks like one giant festival with all the decorations and fall decor. The convention center was also hosting the fall crafting event with over 100 local artists and vendors at the conference center. There is a $10 admission fee. Make sure you get there before it closes on October 20th. The village center is also fully decked out for the fall season. There are 27 amazing little shops and things to see, none of them pulling their proverbial fall decorating punches as they try to draw you into their unique little boutiques. They will do anything to lure you in and convince you to pull out your wallet for a fun Halloween-inspired pajamas, amazing scent candles, or olive oil delights. There are tons of things for people to see and enjoy here. And yes, those pajamas with Snoopy are mine now. The town of Gatlinburg also decorates. My favorite things are all the fun whimsical pumpkin people. These sculptures are very unique, and you'll find new ones every year. The pumpkin people can be spotted throughout the town of Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. Many of the pumpkin people represent different professions, such as a construction worker, teachery, and even police officers. But there are others that look like tourists or even fishermen. I don't know the count yet, but there has to be well over 30 of the sculptures. People love getting selfies with them or look at their favorite ones. I think mine was the little boy and dog just outside of Old Smoky. It was adorable. Anarchista was also mobbed. Lines getting on the chairlift were well over an hour most of the weekend, and that didn't count the line to buy tickets if you didn't pre-purchase them already. They were putting on their Bear-Varian event, which draws in many guests who enjoy sampling local beers. They also have amazing flower displays, colorful lights, jack-o'-lanterns, and Halloween-themed decor all over. Though no pumpkin people. Must be they didn't want to sponsor one, or because they aren't cool enough to have one. I don't know. One thing that we were shocked at was the Anarchista closed the Ana Vista Tower on Saturday for a few hours for a wedding. I didn't even know that was a thing until we saw the sign. The rest of the mountainside resort was open, but they closed the tower and one of the restaurants for the wedding reception for a time. That must have been one expensive wedding party for the park to be willing to close down one of its biggest attractions for an hour and a half. But the weather was beautiful, it was warm, and the sky was a crisp, clear blue, a perfect day for a fall wedding. And of course, Dollywood is well into their fall harvest festival. The crowds there were unbelievable. There were so many people that they needed to use the overflow lot at the water park across the street. I really do enjoy the fall harvest at Dollywood, but the massive crowds do make enjoying it harder. They do an amazing job with the night lights and all the decorations, and it's one of my favorites. But when we went, there were so many young families with those massive strollers, wagons, and scooters that you couldn't just stop and enjoy all the decorations. And that's my favorite part of going to Dollywood, the fall decorations. But if you have the chance to slow down and enjoy all the decorations, there's a lot to see. The owls are a crowd favorite, but who can ignore the spooky spider or the graveyard of ghoulish dancing pumpkin people? And of course, there is the guitar as well, which they have improved on since last year, made from carved jack-o'-lanterns and lit up with bright colors and musical notes. And it wouldn't make sense if they didn't pull out Dolly's signature butterfly or reference her patch quilted jacket on a pumpkin way. But the real favorite for most people is the Isle of Lights that shimmer down from above. The park creates a misty night show of purple ghostly lights and haunting owl-headed ghosts hovering above. And unlike Anarchista, Dollywood has plenty of whimsical pumpkin people dancing, playing, and just having a fun time in the park. Must be that Dolly is one of the cool kids that they got their own pumpkin people like Gatlinburg has. Not many places in Pigeon Forge have them, but there are a few. There's one last thing I want to bring out about the fall madness. This last point, which depends on your perspective, can be a joy to see or a nuisance as we head into the fall. And that's about the bears. As fun and cute as they can be for visitors, they can be a real problem. The bears are also gearing up for winter. That means they're getting way more aggressive searching for food. Don't leave any food in your car and don't feed them. The bears will tear open your car to get to food and cause thousands in damage. This year, one ripped off our soft top cover, Jeep cover, when we were staying in Gatlinburg. Just beware that this is a real problem. We noticed that Pigeon Forge is also gearing up for the Christmas season. They've started putting up their lights and getting them lit up at nighttime. All of this is really cool to see in person, but the crowds make enjoying it a little harder. So be warned, if you plan on taking a trip to the mountains this fall, anticipate crowds. Plan ahead, book early, and be prepared for slower traffic, especially in and around the national park. At the time of this film production and release, we are a nonprofit channel which allows us to share information about the Smoky Mountain National Park. I hope this video helps you learn more about the Smoky Mountains or helps you plan your own visit. You're getting an honest review from our personal experiences, but facts and things change, so please keep us in the loop if you learn anything new and want to share your experiences in the comments. Thanks again for visiting us at Bare Facts of the Smoky Mountains. Please click that like button and subscribe to our channel.